Alright, what's going on everyone? Today we're going to take a look at the 4 new Pioneer Challenger decks. We don't have time to go over every single card, but I'll give you a brief overview of how the decks work so you can decide which deck best suits your playstyle, and I will also leave a link to the deck list in the description below if you want to check out the full lists. Also, I will leave Amazon affiliate links to all the decks. Of course, you should buy these at a local game store if possible, but if you don't have one, you can check those out. So let's start with Azorius Spirits, which is a blue-white tribal spirits deck. I think Mausoleum Wanderer, Rattle Chains, and Spell Queller demonstrate what this deck is all about, what the spirit tribe is all about. They could be fast and aggressive like most tribes, but they are also evasive, they'll have flying, and they have a lot of tricks up their sleeves. The Wanderer will get pumped up whenever you play other spirits, and then you can sacrifice it to counter spells based on its power. Rattle Chains has flash, so it's a surprise blocker, and when you flash it in, a spirit gains hexproof, meaning you can cast it in response to a removal spell and essentially counter it by giving the spirit hexproof. And it will also give all of your other spirits flash as well, allowing you to cast things like lords as combat tricks. Like being able to cast a lord that pumps your entire board at instant speed is pretty good. And then Spell Queller sort of counters a spell. It'll counter it, technically it exiles it, and then when it dies, the spell resolves, so it delays a spell, but sometimes that can effectively counter a spell if it needed to be timed. If you can just nab it out of the air, sometimes it becomes irrelevant, or if it's like someone's casting a board sweeper, just being able to capture it behind a Spell Queller for a while, very relevant. So this is what makes spirits so unique, is that, they are fast, they are aggressive, they're evasive, so they can put out a ton of flying power really quick, but they also have a lot of built-in disruption. And you can also see this with things like Shacklegeist, Selfless Spirit, Remorseful Cleric, once again, fast, aggressive flyers, but they also make the opponent's life difficult in some way. Like the Ghast can tap down creatures, the Selfless Spirit can be sacrificed to protect your board against board sweepers, which are tribal deck's worst nightmare, and the Cleric just gives you some main board graveyard hate, so that's great. And then of course there are also lords like Supreme Phantom, Empyrean Eagle, Watcher of the Spheres. The first two will pump our board. Even though the Eagle isn't a spirit, all of our stuff has flying, so technically we have 2 lords in the deck. And then the Watcher will make all of our stuff cheaper, all creatures with flying, which is all of our deck, and also gets pumped up as we cast flyers. And then there are also a couple counter spells like Spell Pierce, Lofty Denial, so there's that. So basically, Tribal Spirits, Azorius Spirits, it's an aggressive tempo deck with just a lot of disruption built into the spirit tribe. So if that sounds like your thing, check out Azorius Spirits. Next up is Orzov Auras, a black-white deck that's trying to load up a creature with a bunch of enchantments. It has things like Cartouche of Solidarity, Griff Spoon, and Sentinel's Eyes, and what makes these so powerful is they don't lose card advantage when the creature dies. That's something that's a big problem with auras, right? You play a creature, you put an aura on it. If the opponent can hit it with a removal spell, you lose 2 cards to their 1. So that's card disadvantage. But with all of these, you get some value. The Cartouche puts out a token, and the other 2 can be recast from the graveyard, so you don't lose that card advantage if the creature dies. But the real power comes from things like Ethereal Armor and All That Glitters, which pump up a creature based on the number of enchantments you have, which is a lot because that's sort of the point of the deck. So these can make a creature absolutely massive. For every other enchantment we have, it's more power. The deck then uses things like All-Seed of Life's Bounty and Selfless Savior to protect the enchanted creature. They can both be sacrificed. The first gives you protection from a color, and the second gives you indestructible, and this basically allows you to suit up a creature and ensure it doesn't die. If it gets hit with a removal spell, gets indestructible, gets protection from the color of the removal spell, and ensures that you can keep that creature around. The deck also has Hateful Eidolon and SRAM for card advantage. The Eidolon lets you draw a card for each enchantment that's attached to a dying creature. Like if you have a creature with 3 enchantments on it and it dies, you get to draw 3 cards. SRAM lets you draw as you cast auras. So once again, this negates the card disadvantage of, having a creature with a bunch of auras on it dying, which is pretty important in a deck like this. And for the late game, the deck plays Lurrus as a companion. Lotus will let you recast permanents from your graveyard once per turn, so long as they cost 2 or less, and naturally, because this is a Lotus deck, all of our permanents fit that description, so this allows you to recast everything in your deck. You can endlessly sacrifice your protection creatures, right? You can sacrifice these, protect a creature, and then recast it and have that protection spell up again. You can recast your enchantments, your auras, everything in the deck can be recast with Lotus. So if you want to power up a small creature with a boatload of auras, turning it into a massive juggernaut that's difficult to kill, Orzov Auras might be the deck for you. Next we have Lotus Field Combo, which is indeed a combo deck built around the Lotus Field, a land that can tap for 3 mana, but you have to sacrifice 2 lands when you play it. So normally this means you break even, right? You have 2 lands, you can either play a third basic, or you play this, you sacrifice the other 2, and you have 1 land that can tap for 3, instead of 3 lands that can tap for 1. But the trick is, this deck also plays Thespian Stage. It can become a copy of Lotus Field, and when you copy Lotus Field, you don't have to sacrifice the lands, right? Because you sacrifice the lands when you play it. In this case, you're just activating and copying it. This means that on turn 4, you can have 2 Lotus Fields producing 6 mana. So it allows you to ramp it to pretty big mana, and then the deck has ways to untap them using things like Hidden Strings, Vizier of Tumbling Sands, Pour Over the Pages. So take Hidden Strings for example. If you tap both lands, let's say you have 2 Lotus Fields, you add 6 mana, you pay 2 for Hidden Strings, you untap them, and then tap them for 6 more, meaning that you have 10 total, right? You generated 12 mana, you used 2 for the Hidden Strings, so 10 mana with 2 Lotus Fields and Hidden Strings. And you can also produce 9 with the Vizier in play, or 7 total with Pour Over the Pages, right? Like you tap for 6, you use 5 for Pour Over the Pages, then you untap 2, you tap for 6 more. So basically you can get 7, 9, 10 mana pretty easily with all these. And then the deck uses that mana to cast the Adventure on Fae of Wishes or Mastermind's Acquisition. And this is how the deck wins, because both of these allow you to grab a card from your sideboard or from your deck. And the idea here is that you want to grab Approach of the Second Sun, which is your win condition, because when you cast it, you gain 7 life, and then you put it back into your library 7th from the top, and then the second time you cast it, you win the game on the spot. The problem, of course, is you have to wait 7 more turns, unless you have a way to just draw it immediately, and that's where the combo comes in. Basically, you have Peer into the Abyss and Dig Through Time, and these allow you to get the Approach of the Second Sun. Peer into the Abyss lets you draw half your deck, which will get you that Approach pretty easily, and Dig Through Time lets you dig 7 cards deep and grab a card, 2 cards technically. You're going to grab Approach of the Second Sun, of course, and then win the game with it. So that's the basic idea. You use Lotus Field and Thespian Stage to cheat on mana. You use land untappers to generate huge amounts of mana, and then you cast a few giant game-ending spells. And there's also some other stuff in the sideboard, because this is a kind of sideboard wish deck. So you have other stuff in the sideboard for specific matchups and stuff. But basically, if you want to just try to insta-win with Approach of the Second Sun, then that Lotus Field combo might be your deck. And then finally, we have Mono Red Burn, because what would a batch of challenger decks be without a red aggro deck? It plays Get To Lava Runner, Monastery, Swift Spear, and Soulscar Mage, all of which care a lot about spells. The Lava Runner is a 1 mana 1/2, which is already decent, and then it could be a 2/2 with haste for 1 mana if you've already cast a few spells, or it will become a 2/2 later. And the other 2 creatures have prowess, meaning they will get +1/+1 whenever you cast spells, burn spells in this deck. And then to power these up, we have things like Wild Slash, Lightning Strike, Wizard's Lightning. The first is just like an upgraded Shock, sort of. Lightning Strike is slightly more expensive than Lightning Bolt, but 2 mana, 3 damage. And Wizard's Lightning can be a Lightning Bolt if you control a wizard, which many of the creatures in this deck actually are. In fact, 2 of the creatures we just looked at were wizards. So we have these burn spells, and then we have these prowess creatures that get kind of big as we sling these burn spells. We also have Viashino Pyromancer and Bone Crusher Giant, which are both creatures that also sort of count as burn spells, sort of. The Pyromancer will deal 2 damage to an opponent or a planeswalker when you play it, and the Giant can be cast as a burn spell first, and then it's a 3 mana 4/3 that shocks the opponent if they try to target it. But basically, creatures that burn, that's the idea. And the deck also has Bowmat Courier and light up the stage for card advantage. Burn or just mono red aggro's biggest problem is gassing out, right? You just run out of cards because all of your cards are cheap, but they don't do big stuff. So sometimes you can just run out of cards, run out of gas, and both of these help with that. The Bowmat Courier, as it attacks, it collects cards under itself, and then you can sacrifice it to refill your hand. And the light up the stage lets you get a couple cards off the top of your library, potentially for 1 mana preferably. So it just allows you to kind of refill your hand with a little bit more gas, and that's it. That's actually every card in the deck. Fast creatures, burn spells. If that's your thing, then you probably already knew before watching the video that you were going to buy this deck. But there you go, guys. Those are the 4 Pioneer Challenger decks of 2021. Again, check the description below. I will leave links to the full deck list as well as links to the decks on Amazon. And again, please buy them from a local game store if you have one. But let me know which deck you're interested in. Let me know if you're going to buy one of these. I'm curious. Let me know if you're interested in upgrade guides, because I don't really know how many people play Pioneer, so I really don't know how much interest there is and that sort of thing. So information is good for me because I might do some upgrades for these. I just don't really know how many people are interested in that sort of thing. So let me know in the comments. But in the meantime, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.